This week, the House will continue to focus on jobs and the American people's priorities. We'll take up reforms to help more students get a good education, no matter where they're from. And we'll also take up a breakthrough initiative to help more patients get the life-saving treatments that they need. Today in America, we have thousands of diseases to fight, and the best minds in the world are on the front lines of that fight. But our researchers need more tools and fewer roadblocks, and that's what the 21st Century Cures Initiative will provide. I recently heard from a woman in Cincinnati whose sister suffered from pancreatic cancer, and she said of this initiative, and I'll quote, "It's my definition of hope." So these are the things every family can identify with, and I look forward to passing both of these bills this week.
Oh, not you, Freddie. It's all right. Oh, yeah. Here, no, Freddie, let me go. No, Freddie, you were supposed to go first. Anyway.
I'm never going before the speaker. I'm sorry. I'm Fred Upton, and really for the last year and a half, our committee on both sides of the aisle has been listening to all of the different experts. The NIH, the research community, the disease groups, the administration, patients, trying to figure out what we can do to expedite the approval of drugs and devices. That bill passed in our committee 51-0 in May, and will be on the floor Thursday and Friday this week. Yes, we have additional funds for the NIH, working through the budget process where deliberate savings are identified and given to the appropriators to spend for a new innovation fund, which then is sunset after 5 years. Exceed the expenditures, not only in the first 10 years, but obviously in a 20-year window as well. We're looking for a strong vote, more than 300 votes this week, to help us move the bill through the Senate and get it to the President's desk. 10,000 different diseases, 7,000 of them rare, only 500 cures. We can do better, and that's what this bill does.
You know, this new American Congress has always pledged that we would try to provide greater opportunity and freedom. Look for the challenges the future holds and actually make it a greater opportunity for all Americans as they go forward to face those challenges. Today on the floor and through this week, we have 3 bills that express that. Student Success Act. Nothing's greater an opportunity for the future than children having an opportunity to grow. Education provides that. But many times the education holds back in different parts of this country. How can we empower parents, states, and others to provide a greater opportunity? You look at our forest bill. We know out west we have fires coming with a fire season. Many times Congress has only dealt with these fires and paid for them after the fact. We're preparing ahead of time and actually preparing a forest to be healthier, that we won't have to have the fires that we had in the past. And then last, what Chairman Upton talked about, the 21st Century Cures. What would America look like if we cured Alzheimer's or cancer? It's a goal, but it's actually achievable. But you have to change reforms and you have to make an investment. 21st Century Cures isn't a bill that just got brought forth last week. This is one that Chairman Upton and his committee has been studying for years. We watched many times that the reforms or the time that it takes to approve a new drug, that Europe is long before America. Innovation helps change healthcare. Investment helps change the life and longevity of Americans. That's what this week will be about. The beginning of life in America and the opportunities you have in education, to the environment, to how long you're able to live. This American Congress has made a pledge, and we're going to keep that promise this week.
The House has continued to work on addressing problems that people all across the country are facing. Just last week, you saw the President sign into law the Trade Promotion Authority bill that we passed in a very strong bipartisan way, something that's going to help get our economy moving again and allow America to be more competitive with other nations. This week, we're tackling a number of bills from education reform with the Student Success Act, something that's going to help allow more innovation at the local level, getting the federal government out of those decisions. I know in the New Orleans area, we've seen some of the greatest innovations in education in decades, and it's not policies that have come out of Washington. It's local communities taking back control of their school systems without threats from the federal government to hold them back. And so this bill actually advances the strength and ability for local communities to be more directly involved in their education without coercion coming from the federal government. So it's a bill that's the culmination of a lot of hard work from Chairman Klein and many of our members to actually get the federal government out of those decisions and allow the local governments and local school systems and parents to be more directly involved in their children's education and seeing success. And then finally, the Student Success Act, something that's going to not only lead to more cures of diseases, something that's going to help the medical community to be able to focus specifically on solving and curing diseases, but something that's actually going to reduce the deficit. Not often here do you see Republicans and Democrats coming together to move important legislation forward while also being fiscally responsible. This bill, CBO scores to reduce the deficit by $500 million over the 10-year window and even greater savings in the out years, while also focusing on those specific cures. And so when you see the House moving on all moving again to find cures. These are the things that come up here. I know I'm blessed to have my daughter Madison over here. We have to make a lot of sacrifices when we leave to come up here, but we do it not only to help get our economy moving today, but to have a brighter future for our kids tomorrow. So glad to have Madison here with me.
Good morning. This week, the House is going to continue its work to remove barriers between Americans and life-changing innovation, whether it's in the classroom or whether it's in the doctor's office. You know, and I'm especially proud of the work that has been led by Chairman Fred Upton over a year now, a bipartisan effort to bring the Act to the floor this week. Listening to experts, patients from across the country, our goal should be not just to be providing life-changing treatments, it should be to be curing these diseases. The 21st Century Cures Initiative offers hope to people all across this country that are currently suffering from incurable, untreatable diseases. In Eastern Washington, we just lost a visionary, dynamic leader, the president of Washington State University, to colon cancer. And he and millions of others, brothers and sisters, kids, parents, lose every year loved ones to horrible diseases. And these serve as a powerful reminder of why finding these cures are so important. We need to empower our scientists and researchers so that we can discover and develop and deliver those medical breakthroughs. After all, that's why we're here. We're here to help people have better lives, reach their full potential, and this proactive initiative will have a life-changing effect on families in Eastern Washington and all across this country.
This month will mark the 5th anniversary of the misguided policies of Dodd-Frank, which passed the House with bipartisan opposition. President Obama claimed that the law would lift the economy, but it's done just the opposite by failing to address many of the problems that led to the financial crisis and making it harder for folks to get ahead and achieve their dreams. Just this week, I heard from a community banker about the restrictive regulations coming from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and other government agencies. Because of the crushing regulatory burden of Dodd-Frank's 400 new federal regulations, there are fewer community banks that families and small businesses in our communities rely on. These small community banks did not cause the problems that Dodd-Frank sought to correct. But the burdensome and costly regulations are forcing these banks that have been supportive community partners over generations, to close or to sell to big banks to afford the massive costs of compliance. That is why we are going to continue our aggressive oversight of the law, fight back against unreasonable regulations, and pass solutions to get this economy healthy.
Luke.
Speaker Boehner, yesterday Ash Carter said that so far only 60 moderate Syrians have been trained in the fight against ISIS. In light of such a low number, are you open to American forces on the ground to fight ISIS in Syria?
No, I think that the initiative, which is the president's basically his anchor in the strategy, isn't working. And the fact is that we need to recruit more fighters from Syria, and we need to get them trained. That's the sum total here.
But American presence on the ground, are you open to that in light of what's happened?
Listen, the first step is to get Syrians trained to fight ISIS. In addition to that, the steps being taken to train Iraqi soldiers continues. What's needed on the Iraqi side is a little more engagement rather than just solely training. Well, let's wait and see if there is in fact an agreement. I think the Iranian actions over the last couple of days raise questions about whether they really want to get to a deal. I have expressed concerns for some time about the veracity of any agreement that could be reached. But at this point, we're going to know here in a few days.
Mr. Speaker, do you support allowing Puerto Rico to file under Chapter 9 bankruptcy, and do you see the House taking up legislation on the debt crisis there?
That's an issue for the House Judiciary Committee to deal with, and I'd refer you to Chairman Goodlatte.
Last question, Mr. Speaker. Some members of your conference are encouraging you to put a standalone XM bank bill on the floor. I was wondering, are you open to that idea at all, rather than allowing the Senate to dictate how the House would take?
There hasn't been any discussion of that as far as I know.
Before we left recess, you had Jason Chaffetz tried to strip one of the member of his gavel and then reversed his decision the next day. You've been pretty open about your frustration with members who don't pay dues and vote against rules and try to kind of screw up your plan at every turn. What does that tell members? That basically, you get punished, and there's no real repercussion for any of that?
I don't know. I think I'd refer you to Chairman Chaffetz.
But you're the speaker. This is your conference. You've told them, you've expressed frustration about this to members in public and private. So you have no reaction to that?
This is an issue that Chairman Chaffetz was dealing with, and I'll let him respond. Thanks.